Cheers.
Salute.
Toast.
I'm Darrin Daniel, Director of Sourcing for Allegro Coffee.
And I'm Guenzel, Head Brewer for Left Hand Brewing Co. Well, we are tasting for the first time the collaboration beer that we made for Old Chicago's. This is a pale ale with some Blue Nile coffee from Allegro Coffee Roasters. You know, it's interesting to see Darrin's impressions for the first time on the beer.
Yeah, and so this style kind of is a lighter style than more traditional coffee beers that you see out there that are porters or stouts. So the coffee, we're using a Blue Nile, which is a grade 3 coffees or natural grade coffees from Ethiopia, and they tend to exhibit a lot of dried fruit kind of flavors and very sweet, sometimes like cedary kind of notes. But generally, it's more of a fruity kind of forward type of coffee that we're roasting at a medium level. I think the idea was that we want to have some of the fruitiness and some of the maybe tartness that the coffee has come through in the beer profile itself.
You know, it's interesting where the hops end and where the coffee begins.
Well, we start with a cupping to kind of zero in on the coffee. And then once we figured out the coffee, then Rose started to kind of, I think the wheels started spinning in terms of style of beer. So that was like the very beginning.
As we're standing around the table at Allegro, I kind of snowballed the idea that maybe let's try and take this in a different route.
I think the first thing I remember is like you had a certain hops right away that you're like, okay, this is, so that was probably the building block, which probably for all beers is like one of the first steps you're going to take.
How we add the coffee is we do the brewing, the fermentation, and then right before we go to package with it, we add the coffee beans and we recirculate it in the tank for about 2 hours in order to get that extraction and run it through a filter.
So there's lots of, I guess, processing along the way that are interlinked and make sense completely why they would be joined product.
One of the things we talked about when we all got together for the first time was coming up with a beer for a coffee drinker. Our Explore series that this is a part of is really designed to tell a story about beer. And what a better story than coffee company, a brewery, and tap room coming together.
Cheers! Cheers.